This is John Kohler with GrowingYourGreens.com. I have another exciting episode for you. I'm here in SoCal, and what SoCal is Southern California for those of you that aren't in the know, and we're here on location. It's actually here in the 80s today. Nice January, actually Happy New Year to all my viewers. Here in January, nice 80-degree weather in Southern California, and we're at the incredible Edible Park. This is the city of Irvine public park where everything that's grown inside the park is edible. So they're growing vegetables and fruit trees, and they distribute their fruits and vegetables to the needy. So this is an absolutely amazing place, and how this came about is between a collaboration between Southern California Edison, which is the electricity company, the city, and some other organizations that are now able to use this space, which was basically an easement for the power lines overhead. That was an unused space. They're now able to grow on 7.5 acres food to feed literally over 200,000 people a year. So this is one amazing space, one amazing park, and I encourage all the parks and municipalities around the country to include an edible park to teach gardening, but also to feed people that are in need. So we're gonna walk around this park today and check out some of the cool things growing on. And in this area, you can see there's just a nice big field of broccoli growing and other brassica plants. You can see here's some of the broccoli. Right here, looks really nice. And to me, what it looks like is they're harvesting a lot of the flowers, the broccoli florets, but they're not harvesting as many leaves as they could be. And I want to encourage all my viewers, and if you grow broccoli wherever you are, not only can you harvest the regular broccoli that we know as broccoli, but the leaves are incredibly nutritionally dense. They're basically just like eating a kale or a collards. They also have the anti-cancer properties that foods like broccoli sprouts have been shown to have. So don't waste your broccoli leaves. You could also eat good cauliflower leaves and other brassica leaves as well. In any case, in this area is all the broccoli growing, and above me you can see the power lines. Once again, this was just an easement that was full of weeds that they'd have to pay a lot of money to do weed abatement or clean up the weeds every year, whether they're spraying them or using mechanical means. Now this is a productive garden area where they're growing food for the needy. In any case, this is all in broccoli. You can see a field next to me. They're preparing for the next season. Beyond that is actually a citrus orchard. And over in this area here, there's even some more fields where they're going to be growing some more crops. So let's check that out next. In this area, they have a whole field of the collard greens growing, and they're planting them out at different stages. So looks like these guys have been in the ground the longest, have been planted quite long ago, and they're quite large. The ones near the path are a little bit younger, so they were planted more recently. Now this can be good to basically stagger your plantings so that all your crops are not coming in at the same time and you're not overloaded with something like collard greens. Now I want to encourage all my viewers to eat as much greens as you possibly can. Greens, in my opinion, are number one of the easiest things to grow, but number two, they're one of the most nutrient dense foods on the entire planet. We're on literally a bike path that goes through the incredible Edible Park, and there's people walking, jogging, and biking through. And it's amazingly enough that a lot of the crops here in the rows near the pathway are not getting eaten. Now why is that? Maybe the people don't think they need to eat this food. Maybe they think that food comes from the grocery store. But if I lived down here, I'd probably be snacking on some of these greens. In my opinion, people need to get connected back to nature and where food comes from. Food doesn't come from the grocery store. It comes from Mother Earth and the ground. So you can see we're in another area of the incredible Edible Park, and this is once again another field of brassica plants. Now we are in January, and while it is 80 degrees today, it may get colder. So they're probably planting only things that'll do good in this weather. Although in my opinion, in this weather, I know they could grow things like spinach and lettuce and kohlrabi and kale, and maybe they should even have some tree collards, cauliflower. There's so many different things you could grow besides a whole field of broccoli and collard greens. Although maybe they know how nutritious the collard greens and broccoli really are because they are a dark leafy green. I would encourage you and also the Incredible Edible Park to grow a lot more variety of things instead of sticking to just a few crops. In any case, I want to show you guys really quick the irrigation they're using, because what we want to do as home gardeners is model successful gardeners. And I mean, this place, this farm looks really successful. So what they're doing here is, you can see they're doing a drip irrigation. This is the main feeder line that comes off, and then it goes in to each row to feed the row the water they need to grow. Drip irrigation will save water over overhead sprinkling. The other thing they're doing here that's really cool is they're using reclaimed water. So water that's not suitable for drinking, but is totally fine as long as it meets certain purity levels to grow onto your plants. And actually using a gray water system in your own home is an excellent idea to use to water your garden. So for example, the water that comes out of your clothes washer, as long as you use non-toxic detergent, you could take that water and put it directly in to your garden to feed some of your plants, such as trees and whatnot. So I have a few episodes actually on gray water irrigation, which I think is an amazingly good idea, and encourage everybody to conserve natural resources whenever possible. This is yet another area of the Incredible Edible Park. In this area, they have a lot of citrus trees growing, and in my opinion, citrus trees and other fruit-bearing trees and shrubs are an excellent addition to a farm or even your backyard, so that you can grow food. And trees and shrubs are really easy to care for, much easier than your standard vegetable crops. In most cases, you could plant them just once, make sure they're alive, feed them properly, and they're gonna basically give you fruit year after year. So I think it's definitely really smart that they're using a citrus grove here, but I see many outlying trees as a decoration, and I wish those were edible too. That'll do it for this episode, sharing with you the Incredible Edible Park. And here are my thoughts. I think what they're doing here, taking unused land, basically an easement for the utility company, and using it to grow food to feed the needy, is an excellent idea. But I would hope that they would take this a little bit further and expand the education component of this park to make people realize where food comes from, that food comes from the earth, and all the different kinds of crops that can be growing, and actually furthermore signs that show and teach people what each crop is. Because I mean, I know what they are by looking at them, but most people will not know. And also informational and nutrition information about the crops, on maybe how nutrient dense and how really good leafy greens are for us, and how there's so many different varieties of things you can grow. Another thing besides informational signs I think is really important is to create a community around this park to support the park, but also to teach classes, to teach people that come walk through the park or want to learn more about growing food, how specifically to do it. They have a little table here, and this is like the only table in the whole park. They have a few benches, but I can't see too many gatherings happening here. So I think an area where they could have classes would be excellent to further education about people growing their own food and eating it too. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode, learning more about the Incredible Edible Park here in Irvine, California. Once again, my name is John Kohler with GrowingYourGreens.com. We'll see you next time, and keep on growing.